Welcome to the KitPlus show, AVoIPoE Roadshow here in sunny Manchester.
Sunny, it's normally raining in Manchester, isn't that normally the sort of standard thing? But clearly the luck is on our side today.
Wherever I go, I'll bring the sunshine.
Is that what it is?
Exactly.
I will take that, eh? We'll take that.
So what have we got in store today?
We've got a lot in store today. So we have got kit from Netgear to provide our backbone for the solution. We've got Bolin, we've got Glensound, we've got equipment from Broadtek, LiveU. My mind's going mad. SY Electronics are here. We've also MakerPro X. My mind's fried. I can't keep track of how many vendors we've actually got on board this time. This is fantastic.
There's loads of vendors on board. So I think really the main thing that we're focusing on here to keep in theme with regard to the KitPlus show is the whole broadcast side of things. So we've got the live production stream going on. We've also got this e-gaming simulator going on and the commentary coming from the Glensound. So we've got that quite interesting piece. But more interestingly here, I just saw my name up there. Did you catch that? I'm famous. I'm famous in Manchester.
I think it's all in your head. It's all in your head.
It's getting to my head.
I'm messing. I saw it earlier.
But look at this fantastic video. It's the first time I've been to Media City. Have you been to Media City?
It's my first visit to Media City as well. I say it's
an apt venue for this event, I think.
Definitely. I say we've got ITV sat over back behind us, BBC next door, and I say we're here at Media City, and the sun's coming out even more.
Should we take a walk in?
Why not? Let's go and explore and see a little bit more.
When there's a groove like that, everybody feels good.
And this is the AVoIPoE show at KitPlus in Manchester's Media City. We're going to show you the workflow that we've created here, really focused around two areas. One is the, you see over there, you've got the simulator over there. And what we're demonstrating is e-gaming workflow and how we're able to incorporate that using AVoIPoE design methodology. Right across here, actually, we've got Glensound's Dante speakers. We've got a PoE knock by Thinlabs that's driving, not only is this PoE, but it's also driving 3 PoE 1080p displays. It can actually drive 4, but I forgot the adapter for the other one. And here, I might as well give you a bit of a quick demo here of this Glensound. This is what we're doing. Let me go through this quickly. Now I've got my commentator headset on. I can commentate on exactly what's going on. And the driver's going bound, and first chicane is going... Oh. That's about as much I know about motorsports. But imagine if it was motorsports and I was going through this thing, and I'm going here using the Glensound Express IP Mini. It enables you to... It's popularly used for a lot of commentary sort of stuff, but definitely with regard to gaming. Now, if I press this, I can actually speak to the production guys. With the production guys. So this is what can be done. And as we get on here, we're going to the backbone, Netgear. Obviously the switch, and we've also got the hotspot here to be able to demonstrate for you. Ryan, I want to bring you in here to talk about the rest of the workflow, because this is quite interesting. Something we saw in Germany, right?
It's very much so, yeah. This is when you caught up with Frank from MakerPro X, and what MakerPro X have done is they've supplied us with 2 of their MIDI controllers. So what we've got here is we've got this configured into vMix. So you can see we've got various sort of camera inputs here, and all of a sudden we've got full sort of tactile control. So I can flick the preview screens there, and actually if I just go and look at that camera over there, you can see I can swap the program feed as well. So we should be back with Rob on our roaming camera. We also have full control of our audio. So as an example, I should be talking loud and clear, and you should hear my audio go down and my audio go up. And the great thing we've got here is we've also got full control of both desks. So hang on, let me actually use one, but I'm not going to change my master output on. So we've got full control. So if we do anything on one switch, we can see everything happen on the other. And I think now might be a good time if we bring Darren, our lovely producer, into the mix. So basically what we've got is we've got Darren here who's controlling vMix behind the scenes to actually create this live stream production. Darren, do you want to just talk us through a little bit about what we've got going on here?
Yeah, sure. So we use vMix predominantly in our productions. So yeah, it basically lends itself to any sort of AV workflow that uses AV over IP. We can set the network inputs coming in. We can use NDI to come through into the mix that we have. As Ryan was showing before, the MakerPro X stuff, it works so tactilely. So if we do have sort of a remote production setup, we can have, say, 2 producers in different locations that on the same site, that simply by running an Ethernet lead into the switch, we can work between both workflows, but it'll work towards the same production. We tend to use Dante as well quite a lot, so the Glensound kit we were looking at as well. It works really quite nicely in terms of bringing the talk back to the producers, so we can cut off the main feed that the commentators are talking over the master output. We can then sort of relay any messages to the commentators. They can change that volume in their ear. They can change the volume to their co-commentators as well simultaneously. And then with the Dante speaker system that we've got, we use it with the AVoIPoE system. So we use a lot of different amplifiers at different circuits. Everyone's got a different workflow. So we can literally take a feed through Ethernet and we can wire a PA system up with whichever routed audio we want to use. Yeah, that's our AV setup really. Yeah, it lends itself quite well.
Perfect stuff. And I'm right in saying we've also got some kit here from SY Electronics. So we've got a few actual raw HDMI feeds coming in using SY's HDMI extenders. Allows us to extend HDMI up to 150 meters. But then you can see so there what you could do is you could see that we just switched over to a HDMI source that showcases the camera at the sim rig to bring that into the equation. Perfect.
I think one thing that you mentioned of the SY kit, one thing that I wanted to demonstrate, because we were talking before about the cables, and I remember asking you, why is it that you're not using the HDMI outlet on some of these cameras that you've got? And you mentioned that, of course, the HDMI lead keeps coming up. And I said, I think I've got a solution for that. I know that these guys make this. So how did you find working with these HDMI leads?
So this is SY's stealth HDMI leads. And I say traditionally, when we've got our roaming camera, Rob's using now to bring his feed in, we're using SDI output from there, purely because you can lock the cables in so you don't get the slippage. The great thing about these is these are a really tight, firm connection, and yeah, they're solid. I was going to say if I've got anything I can easily plug into as a test, but we might have to leave that for a sort of feature video later on. But realistically, you can plug these in and you can just pick items up and walk around. It's that much of a solid connection. I say we utilised these at a House of Worship event last week, and they were phenomenal.
I also want to bring in Brett here, but put him on the spot. Brett, please come in. Brett, welcome to the AVoIPoE show. Tell me, you're here at KitPlus. Tell me a bit more about what we're doing here with the Netgear equipment, but also I want to know about the new gear.
Cool. Yeah, so with the AV switches, so kind of you find the world of IT and AV are sort of coming together with the AV over IP. And what we've done is essentially created a switch that someone who might not necessarily have an IT background can configure and manage in 5-10 minutes. From out the box to set up is a very easy and very simple process. And behind that we have a Pro AV dedicated support team to help you on your journey into Pro AV. So we've got profiles for all the different audio manufacturers and protocols. So something for Dante, we've got NDI, we've got any sort of video control type based profiles. So simply plug your devices in, choose the profile you want, apply it, and that's it. That's all you need to do. And if you do get stuck, we've got a team of pro AV engineers to help you configure it, troubleshoot it, plan it, basically any type of support you need on your journey into AV over IP.
Now, in particular, of course, I've heard online that you've created something like specifically for broadcast, which is really interesting. Can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So we currently the switch we have standing there, you might have seen, is a 4250 range. So that is your sort of 1 gig audio video. But yes, we have got a switch that's just been released and announced called the 4350. So that is a more broadcast orientated switch.
Why don't we have it here?
It's coming. It's coming. Keeping you on your toes.
On my toes. It should be here.
Yeah, it should be.
What's going on, Netgear? Where's the kit?
But it's got things like SMPTE on it, which I know is really needed in broadcast. A lot more 10 gig, multi-gig ports with 100 gig uplinks to cater for the increased bandwidth that you might find with broadcast. So watch the space. You'll start seeing it in the flesh very, very soon.
Of course, that becomes really relevant because of the IPMX. We demonstrate that with Matrox, and I know Plexus AV. There are a number of different companies that are utilizing that. And that's quite an interesting move because I see more and more of the Netgear switches being used within broadcast.
Yeah, that's mainly because of the relationship we've developed with all the manufacturers, and we say, these manufacturers are all certified to use our switch. That means the vigorous process of every manufacturer testing our switch, us testing the equipment with our switch, making sure it works flawlessly out the box or with a simple profile. So the manufacturers are happy to recommend the kit because they know it works. That means less headache for them, less headache for the people that are implementing it, essentially.
Also, one other piece of kit here that we've got, the hotspot. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's we've got a range of 4G and 5G mobile hotspots. So that is basically instant in a box, very small, portable, battery powered, can last basically a whole day on battery. So you can get full 5G out of that. So really good speeds, can take it anywhere. If you're during an AV event that might not have internet access, plug that in. That thing can give DHCP, can give internet to your whole network. So you can your device connects to the internet, or you can stream out, and basically a whole plethora of uses that you can use it for.
Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, yeah.
So Ryan, we've gone through the backbone. Another piece of kit I really wanted to focus in on is something new from LiveU. Well, something new for us anyway.
Definitely new for us. So this is LiveU's LU800 unit. The idea here is it allows us to safeguard our production. So when we're streaming out live, we from Alpha Live, and I say when we're at trade shows, I say with Broadtek, the biggest issue is having that reliable connection to go out. We've all been to these trade shows, you get promised a 100 meg connection, you get 2 or 3, and sometimes it can be a little bit challenging. The great thing we've got about the LiveU unit here is we've got an Ethernet cable coming in, so that's our wired internet, but also inside there is 8 separate SIM cards, as well as 2 Wi-Fi adapters. Now, the great thing here is it can bond all of those inputs together, and what we're doing is we've got an SDI output going into here of our final production, and that's getting broadcasted and beamed up to LiveU's central command control. Basically, you can access that from any web browser, and you can basically configure all of your LiveU devices and send where those outputs are going to go. So for us, we're going out on LinkedIn. Also, there's a copy going out on YouTube as well. So to do that, what we do is we take LiveU through RTMP up to Restream, and from there, we can actually have full control and we can broadcast to our final destinations. Now, we are also later on going to take a look at one of LiveU's other units, which is the LU300. And what we're going to do there is we're going to go out remotely in the field, and we are going to showcase how you can actually utilize this kit in a complete remote location and bring the feeds back into production.
Ryan, look what I've got here. I have got someone touched by fire. It's hot. Brad, tell me a bit about that. We've just kind of given a bit of an overview, but of course you're here, so it's better to hear it from the horse's mouth. Tell me a bit more about this device.
Currently looking at the LU800, able to bond up to 8 SIM cards, 2 Wi-Fi and Ethernet port. That is what our special sauce is really, LRT. That is what we designed for the bonding. We pass that through. Oh, sorry. Other than that, that's the LU 800. That's our flagship model. We have also got an LU 300 somewhere on display here today. But like I said, they're our flagship models. I don't know what. Yeah.
So I think later on we're gonna take one of those, the smaller one outside, to demonstrate its kind of use. What else, Ryan?
So one thing we haven't touched on yet is the Bolin overview camera. So Rob, I'm just going to steer your direction over to here. So we've got Bolin's D220 PTZ camera. Now this is part of the AV Ultra range, which means you can have a feed with ultra low latency. So what we've got is we've got paired up, you can zoom in on the side there. Oh, so it's a live trade show, so we've got people taking part and they can actually see what's going on. If I wave, hello. No, that's perfectly fine. So we have got Bolin's D20 encoder decoder about there. That allows us to get our low latency feed as well. And I say then we can bring a copy of that then into our production. We can use it, say, Dante AV Studio, bring that in, and we have that as our live output. The great thing I also like about these Bolin cameras is you can take multiple feeds. So we've got an RTSP feed going on as well, and we utilise that then to broadcast that to various areas of our production. And yeah, I say these are the cameras we utilised over in Frankfurt at the last event, and we used them on stage, and they worked really well. We did a lot of demonstrations with the low latency, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. And I think what we're using them here differently is that, as you said, you're using it in cooperation with your kind of production workflow. Another thing I wanted to go straight over there is to cover Mick and his involvement with the simulators. I want to capture that now because it seems to be quite popular at KitPlus.
I say you're going to have to fight your way through there, see if you
can I just
work your way
get
in.
involved here?
You can.
Tell me a bit more about Perfect Acceleration and the sim racing.
Okay, Perfect Acceleration is fledgling business for me. We're set up primarily to build custom rigs and provide custom rigs to people, but also provide e-racing series, e-championships for people. We're very fortunate at the moment to have two up-and-coming E-Series with Ginetta and Junior Saloon Cars, which we've already got a very strong entry for. Both of those series are based around the junior entry, because I have a passion, having been a father who's brought up a son through racing, to help juniors and get them into racing, and sim racing is a very good place for people to start. We're also seeing a huge uplift in E-Series competition. It's now getting to the point where large manufacturers and sponsors are wanting to be involved because they're seeing the value in it. And some of the prizes on some of the global events are actually fantastically valuable, i.e. a drive in a Formula car. Some of the prizes we've got coming up and coming will value in excess of £4,000 in prize money, which for a junior under 17 is a huge chunk of money and will hopefully help them on the way to get in there.
And of course, we're demonstrating the kind of e-gaming workflow here. But I don't know whether or not you realize that. I was having a conversation with another technology professional last week, actually, about how e-gaming is being utilized in education to help a lot of students with STEM subjects, because they find that their critical thinking, their reaction time is actually improved by them, working and playing games.
Yeah, true. I've also been approached by one or two people who run a lot of STEM workshops, and we're in the middle of discussing that now. But that's an area that's just opening up in all esports, as you've said. And I'm happy to be part of that because, as I said, there are a lot of people of my age, which is quite old, by the way, who have an amount of disposable income and can afford to involve themselves in this thing. A lot of juniors and young parents haven't got that level of income. So these STEM workshops, I'm looking at going along and providing sim racing as a platform for them to attach their STEM workshops to. And as you say, it involves planning, it involves winning as well as losing, which, is a difficult thing. It's a skill we all have to learn. And it also involves a certain amount of technical skill, i.e. planning the car. If I drive it into a wall, it's going to break, and it doesn't fix itself. So, yeah, I'm all for any of that kind of young person development using esports. That's where I've sort of placed myself in the market, and that's where we're going.
Lovely. And what's the engagement been like so far? Because obviously you're running a leaderboard here as well, and you've very kindly branded everything up for us. So if we take a closer look here, we've got obviously Mick being the top.
We won't look too much. This is the vehicle we're currently running. For this particular event, we've chosen a Porsche GT4. We've branded the vehicle with everybody's logo that's involved. A bit difficult to see on one image, but we can, over there on the large screen, if you want to take a shot of that, I can show you the vehicle there. It looks a bit bent at the moment because somebody's just hit the wall, but we have the vehicle all logoed up. We're able to do this for anybody. We can brand the vehicle, but again, I think it's all part of getting people involved.
Mick, thank you so much. And finally, with regard to what we're talking about, AV over IPOE, how much of that in terms of the workflow do you actually utilize? Because one of the things when we were having that discussion is that many people don't know that you are actually a system integrator in a previous life.
In a previous life, I was a system integrator. Yes, I was. Not necessarily on the commercial world, but in residential. And that brings its own set of challenges. And AV over IP is an emerging technology. I know it's been around a number of years, but it's been very niche, very specialised. And from personal experience, I always knew that PoE devices would be the way the world goes, because from an installer's point of view, a single cable point to point is obviously much better than multiple cables. You've got less to go wrong. The devices, generally speaking, are easier to program, easier to distribute, and because it's on an IP-based network, you've got almost infinite expandability. So you can broadcast any signal pretty much in any format from any point to any other point or multiple points. So this is why, AVIP, when we spoke originally, I was really happy to be involved with that, because I've worked a lot with it, and if I was younger, I'd still be in that game, but this suits me now.
Thank you, Mick. Thank you so much. Have a great show.
Thank you.
Take care. And another one that we're growing the AV over IPOE community. We've got another advocate for AV over IP. Let's speak to these guys. Guys, why are you here at KitPlus?
Don't know.
Really? The cat's...
We've come to have a look and see what's going on, see what the newest kit is and stuff.
Right, the newest kit. Shall we give you a little guidance on what we're doing here?
Yeah, go on now.
So what we're doing here, we've got an e-gaming rig, and we're demonstrating the whole performance of using a technology called AV over IP and PoE. Put that together saying AV over IPOE, because it's a lot more efficient, it's a lot more flexible, and you save energy, save time, and you save money by using that as a design methodology. And then we've also got a level of interoperability here, because we've got so many different solutions. For that e-gaming here, we've also got something here for the e-gaming commentating. So this runs on a system called Dante Audio. I don't know if you're familiar with Dante Audio, but enables you to essentially takes the audio and puts it on an IP network, and you're able to commentate on what's going on over there. You've got a NUC, that's a PoE NUC.
So sorry to cut you. So say like when you're watching say like Call of Duty gaming videos, this is what they're doing.
That's it. This is what they're using. When they're doing that, especially for the competitions, they're using kit like this to be able to do the commentary.
Right, okay.
So they're able to, they're also able to speak out live. On here you put the microphone on and be able to do that. And then we've also all got other devices that are actually made specifically for gaming, but I can't actually find it. I think it's actually rigged up somewhere over there. Another product is a PoE NUC. So with this PoE NUC, it's not only powered by PoE, but it also drives up to 4 displays running 1080p on PoE. So that little machine is driving 4 of those all off of one of these switch kits. So, and then we come over here, we've got Netgear, that's the infrastructure, that's the backbone of everything. So everything is powered and distributed through here. This piece of kit is quite new, actually. This is a MakerPro X. What this is it's a tactile control system that will work with any codec, whether it's lighting, whether it's production, audio. You can customize this to suit your requirement, to your workflow. So if you wanted to use this for production, you can use it for production. We've got another version over there to kind of give you a full demonstrations of each one of these modules here. These 4 modules can then be, it's module, you can just take them out and change it in accordance to what you want.
Can you muff it to be MIDI as well?
Yeah. It's all MIDI controlled, and it works with any codec. So that's a unique thing about it. Ryan, let's bring you in here.
So I'm just thinking, we've done a sort of a good walkthrough, you've done a great summary basically what we've got. There's a couple of things on the solution, but we've not quite touched upon yet. So we've got our program output coming on the screen over there. We're using NDI to bring that through. So we've got a bird dog play sat on the bench there, and that just takes a broadcast of our program output like so. As you can see, we've got a couple of power cables tucked away at the back there. And then the other thing we've not touched on is how this feed here is actually coming into production. So you might see we've got an antenna on the top of the camera there. And I say, Rob, if we bring you around, we can see the receiver side of it. We've got our Holyland device here. And basically what we do is use that to be able to get a wireless signal around the trade show. So it means wherever we go, we can bring that camera wirelessly into production with minimal latency. I've got a feeling here, I think we've covered everything here.
What kind of applications are you usually working?
I'm usually on the lighting side, so I'm just being a bit baffled at the minute. But it's fair play. I've always wanted something similar like that.
Not that big?
Yeah. But obviously it's quite expensive, isn't it?
It's quite expensive. Well, you can go and have a go, and if you get a decent amount of time, you can have a free T-shirt. Yeah. It's all over there. Oh. Lovely. Right. Take care. That's...
So, Sia, I believe you've got your stage presentation.
I do.
Coming up next. Now,
I do.
The other one thing we haven't actually mentioned is how we're getting your audio from the stage.
Well, that's Dante at AVoIPoE, right?
That's the one. So basically, we've got one of the input devices there, and again, that brings it into the network. That's connected to our Netgear switch, and that allows us to route the audio across the network. The beauty of AVoIPoE, hey?
That's right.
Perfect stuff. Well, should we let you get ready?
I'll get ready.
We'll catch up in a bit.
See you in a bit. Talking about saving energy and how we're going to be able to reduce that energy, that's the whole PoE part of it. And the reason why it's important, when we're also saving time, is because we're running everything using cat cables. So rather than having an electrician having to, let's say you have an overflow. Over here, you might not have built, the entire structure over here, but you don't, at the moment, have any outlets. Using AVoIPoE design methodology, what you can essentially do is run cat cables. And as long as the power threshold of the products that you're using is within PoE, which is 90 watts currently using PoE++, even if the product isn't natively PoE, by using a PoE splitter, you can then bring that online and also utilize the same technology. So the benefits are there. And also, it's a lot simpler to be able to install. The reason why it's simple to install is that you don't need that electrician. You don't need to get sign-off on that. Anyone can run a cat cable. Obviously, if you know how to, do cat cables, it's a lot better to be able to dress them properly and to be able to do it. But essentially, we're saving a lot of energy because these are all low energy usage. So that was the benefit from the energy perspective. So that power comes from a central and universally compatible source. So you don't need all of these adapters. And if anyone has ever done any sort of system design, they know that the first thing that goes are these silly little adapters that they've got on these units, where the power is usually coming from either a network switch or a PoE injector. That is a reliable source that can then also be managed. So you can remotely manage that. You can, customize the amount of energy that you use. You can automate things, when things switch on, when things switch off. All of that whole thing the whole system then becomes part of one entire system that you can maintain online and have access to remotely. So it can also be, backed up by an uninterruptible power supply. So you can quickly disable or reset devices, and that makes the installation and the distribution of the network connections simple and really effective. So when we're talking about the design element and design aspect of AV over IPoE and why it's so much simpler than traditional ways of designing things, you have to take into account that the traditional ways usually required you to use proprietary equipment. So let's say you wanted to have scaling or switching or whatever you wanted to do, you needed a little box to be able to do that. But you don't need that now because everything is coming through with software-defined solutions. So when you're using AV over IPoE as a design methodology, you're really using a system of transmitters and encoders and decoders to be able to do that. And you don't need all the other elements because it's all done through software. And with software, with a firmware update, you can completely change the functionality of a product. So that means that you can, do things quicker. Manufacturers can also do things and be able to, actually act on the information that they're given on the field and go, right, I'm going to incorporate that into my roadmap. And within a few months, they can implement something that they've heard at a trade show or an exhibition like this, because they heard that, got that feedback from a technical professional. They thought it was a good idea. They can incorporate it by coding it in, and within a few months, they've tested it and they're able to implement that. These are all the benefits of using this, this way of thinking from a design perspective and from a vendor's perspective. So also the maintenance is quicker and it's more flexible. And when we're talking about maintenance, let's say you're a system integrator and you're at a facility like this or other facilities, educational facility, commercial facility, the things that you can do today by being able to do remote production, remote maintenance, those aspects of, someone accidentally taking off an HDMI cable or a CAT cable out of the system can easily be diagnosed and can be acted on. You don't then need to have lots and lots of staff that has to go out on site because you've got site on diagnostics, you've got all of this information at your hand so that you can respond to them effectively, and it saves you a lot more money to be able to do that. And again, another benefit of this type of thinking. So there's less waiting around, as we said, when we're talking about doing these projects, because the building inspectors don't need to sign off on those new projects. You're also saving money on those materials that we're talking about. Earlier on, I mentioned, using this proprietary way of designing systems. When you're doing that, you've got all this dedicated hardware. You don't need that dedicated hardware. So you're cutting energy bills and reducing carbon footprint in that way as well. So one of the other great benefits is this flexibility that it gives you. So wherever you are, wherever the system is, so when we're talking about this being on a network, it could be a wired network or a wireless network, wherever the network goes, the system goes with you. So you're not bound to, let's say, you're doing some remote location work, that's okay. Companies like LiveU, they've provided solutions out there that enable you to not rely on, let's say, a building's Wi-Fi network, or you don't rely on anything because they've got long battery life for their products. That these things all take into things that you have to take into consideration when you're doing live event productions. So when we're talking about that flexibility, you're also looking at that space. That space, especially when we're talking about education facilities or commercial facilities, can often change. You can have one layout 1 minute and another layout another minute. That flexibility enables you to do exactly that. That flexibility enables you to completely change the way that you set up a solution or you set up a room. It could be a conference room 1 minute. It could be a lecture theatre another minute. It could be rehearsal studios the next. none of that really matters, because what you can do is you've just got that flexibility. You're not constantly going out and taking this kind of different things that you've got, because everything is run through the software, and then that system of encoders and decoders, as well as a network switch and the network that you're doing, enables you to do that. So this type of methodology is really, really important when we're talking about the new age of technologies that are coming around. We're talking about big data, Industry 4.0, IoT, computing, anything that's smart technology. So the reason why that's important is because modern organizations, they grapple with these two worlds. You've got the physical world and you've got the digital world. And a lot of the times these two worlds have occupied completely separate domains. And they've shared really not a lot of meaningful data in between them. With this type of methodology, the amount of data and information that you can get with things like sensors that you can use, an office building. So this is actually happening right now. There are office buildings that are using sensors, and they're using the data that they're getting from the sensors to be able to design the room in a way that they know about the occupation of those rooms and how to set up those rooms so that it could be more efficiently used, and they're able to do the things that they need to do to get better results from what they're doing, because they're getting that information, as I mentioned before, about diagnostics information that's out there, and also security. There are so many different things that can all then be incorporated into that. It's meaningful data, and it enables you to be able to map out. It gives you business intelligence, and that's something that we've really never had before. That level of intelligence, so that we can incorporate that into our business strategies. So a lot of facilities can be able to use that. It's the same with the broadcast studio, whatever. All of these things are very relevant, and it's important to be able to take into account, because we've got the technology now. How do we work that into a solution that makes it workable in our day-to-day life, so that our workflows are streamlined and we end up having like a single uniform environment, so that we're taking the best worlds of the digital world and applying it to the real world, so that it's everyone's better off for it. So one of the other aspects, I said it, from a design perspective, I've been talking about that a lot, but there's also another aspect of it, and that's really to do with what we're talking about, creating this community of people. So if you're a manufacturer of products, a lot of times, me as a consultant, when I'm talking to my customers, I'm talking to my clients, I'm speaking to them about a solution. Always I focus on what their problems are and how I can solve those problems. I never talk about just one part of that problem. If someone's got an issue, I never just talk about, oh, what's the audio aspect? I always talk about the entire thing. It's holistic. So you talk about a complete end-to-end solution. But a manufacturer, let's say you're an audio manufacturer, you're only talking about that part of the solution. So that mindset that we're talking about on an AV over IPOE mindset, it's a mindset that enables you to have that collaboration piece, because that's where the real power comes into it. Because you're collaborating with these other vendors that might give you insight into a different vertical that you won't have any sight of. So when you're an audio manufacturer, you might want to be working with a video manufacturer or display manufacturer or a signal distribution manufacturer, because what you're doing together as a collective, you're one part of a bigger solution. And when you're working together, you're able to verify one another's products, because ultimately this is going to give confidence to the end user, confidence to the system integrator, confidence to the consultant that's going to specify these products. So if I know that this product works out of the box with that product, because interoperability is essentially the nirvana that we want to get to, then it breeds that confidence throughout. So I'm going to use these network switches from Netgear. Why? Because they've got these profiles here that make it so much easier, so that the system integrator doesn't need to necessarily understand in that much depth about network infrastructure, because they make it easy for them. And I've got a profile setting here that if I want to use NDI or I want to use a bit of Dante, I can literally go there. They've made it idiot-proof. And, ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to educate people so that they can come onto the domain of using IP in a way to understand that what are the benefits of it and look how easy it can be. And that's when you've got that, because that collaboration piece happens. Netgear wouldn't have been able to build those profiles without the collaboration of all of those other vendors. Audio, video, everything else that goes, control, everything else that goes in between, they were able to do that because of that collaboration piece. And that's really important part of the mindset of having an AV over IPOE mindset. So what we've done is we've created a showcase, and in our showcase, we've created this multi-vendor example. And what we've done is focus on 2 areas. Every event that we do, we try to adapt that to show a different application in a different vertical. Today, we're showing an e-gaming with a simulator rig over there and commentary. So we've got Glensound providing these specialist units for e-gaming commentary. We've got the guys with the e-gaming rigs, and we've got Dante AV. We've created that. And the reason why we can do that is because rather than thinking about these things as sending audio, video, and data signals, all we're doing is sending packets of data over a network. So if you think of it like that, all of these different codecs can sit on the same network if you wanted to design it in that way. Or you have the specific reason that you wanted just NDI here, you could do that, because everything is just data packets being moved across that network. And what we're demonstrating here is that ability of being able to do that, work across codecs, work across different products to demonstrate and get hands-on. So you've got the hands-on feel of, this is an example workflow of a live streaming. So we're live streaming later on today, and we've got that going on LinkedIn Live. We've also got like the gaming rig over there to demonstrate what that workflow would look like. And the reason why we've done that is that a lot of the times when you come to these exhibitions, it's just boxes on tables, and you're asking the system integrator or the technology professional to use their imagination. Oh yeah, this product does this, it does multi-view, does fast switching. But what better way of being able to demonstrate that for them to get hands-on and go, look, when I say that this is all on the same network, you can see NDI working hand-to-hand with Dante AV. You can see another codec working with another codec. Once you are able to see that, you don't get these kind of misrepresentations oftentimes that you get from different vendors that you'll go to, because perhaps those vendors have got a reason to tell you otherwise, and it happens all the time. And we're objective about it because we are consultants. Ultimately, what we have to do is make sure that what we say is, we can demonstrate what we say, and prove what we're doing. And that's why we like to work with vendors that are much more open-minded and working together in this collaboration space to demonstrate their product and not thinking around those walled gardens, that proprietary system. Because often we find that proprietary systems, they inhibit innovation. It's not really, that what they really want to do is lock you down to a particular system. But really where we want to get to, any technology professional, they want to get to a situation that everything works nicely together. Wouldn't it be great that it will take me half an hour to set up rather than having all these conflicts that I have to deal with all the time? So that is overall the whole benefit and the reason why we're doing what we're doing. I hope you guys, I was able to kind of convey the 2 sides of it that are really important in terms of the design, the energy savings of those designs, of the ease of use and the flexibility in those designs, but also the benefits of working together, whether you're working together as different vendors or even working together, with other people, so that you're able to network and communicate to be able to find, solutions. That's about what we're here for, really. Matt, thank you very much for allowing me up here, and thank you. Enjoy the rest of the AV over IPOE Roadshow, and we are here with Ian. Ian, thank you so much for giving us some of that kit that we were able to show on our gaming simulator rig with, utilizing the Dante. I wanted to go into a bit more depth about some more of the solutions. I mean, we've got some of the same kit over here as well. Yeah. But I know we could go into more depth because you do have so much of a depth of products, and I wanted you to kind of guide me through it.
Okay, yeah. Well, say for people who don't know us, we've been going for nearly 50 years now. So started off in commentary boxes, and we've just expanded our range. Generally, most of the products we've produced have been in conjunction with broadcasters. So we'll have a contact from a broadcaster. They want to solve a particular problem, and we'll try and come up with that solution for them. So that's led us to, say, nearly 600 products over the years we've done. Our current range is about 100 bits that we do. A lot of them are toolbox products, so they're things to solve problems. The GTM, which is one that you've got on your stand there, we had a number of esports tournaments that they were using our intercom systems in, and wanted us to develop with them an esports dedicated box, basically. So what we've got is effectively a commentary box per player, so it has the same quality mic amps and headphone amps you'd have in a professional commentary box, but also with simple controls, so they can control their headphone level, their game level, and their team members level coming in. Everything on here is also mirrored on the software, so we have remote control over this. So if you don't want the players being able to change any of the system, it can all be done remotely via an engineer. We also have game inputs on the back, so this can become a hub effectively per player, so the games console or PC can plug in, and then as a broadcaster you can have one cable running out to Dante to give you your full setup. So there's a few other features. We can also create white noise on here, so for some esports tournaments they have to create white noise to stop cheating within the game, so all of that can be done. A couple of headphone amps in there, so you can use different kinds of headphones, or even have two sets with one set over the top, which again is another requirement for esports tournaments. But there's security involved with esports, so being able to lock out the controls, stop being able people to infiltrate the network is all part of that. So good little product. Giving a quick overview, the Divine speakers again, I think another one you've got, which is a 4-channel Dante-based network speaker. So you've got a network connection on the back there, PoE powered. On this one you've got a couple of connections on the bottom for mic stands, and you've also got a VESA plate on the back. More importantly though, you've got the ability to prioritise audio coming in. So say for example channel 3, you want the director coming in on that. If you've got music or foldback or anything running, channel 3 can then override, dim that audio, and then you can have, so people won't miss their cues. Or so speakers, again, moving on, we've got our intercom range, which is called Beatrice, so that covers lots of different products, from belt packs to rack mounts to desktop units.
Is that someone's wife or dog? Or?
No, Beatrice is all part of Dante with the Dante's Inferno.
Okay.
Beatrice was one of the characters in there. So again, all of them. Bella is also another character, and Comedia and Divine. I think it all comes under this umbrella. So I think beforehand we had a fairly long-winded name for most of our products, which was just a series of numbers and letters, which to the engineers made perfect sense, but it didn't always.
But now you've got to play on Dante, and you've taken it on to the next level.
So that works, and so R would be rack 8 is the number of channels. So Bella 22. Bella was, I think, his mother, who you listen to your mother. This is where so this is a listening point. So this is actually a 22-channel monitoring station there. Our I/O boxes, the dark range, are we've got dual IECs on all of these. We've got primary and secondary with the fibre as well on the front there. So again, from a broadcast point of view, you've got 4 power supplies all working with redundancy. So again, if you get any losses in one power, you should be pretty live. Another product which has come through one of our other sides of our business, this is called the Vittoria. This is a network bridge, basically. So you have a 32-channel card, and there's just audio travelling internally between them. So you as a broadcaster can give 32 channels of digital audio to anyone without them being able to see any further into your network. So it's almost like a firewall from an audio point of view.
Very clever.
But again, great for security. Lots of little products. So we do a mini cub, which is audio USB interface, headphone amp, which has quite a clever little circuit for impedance matching. So regardless of what headphones you plug in, that volume control will be linear throughout its control, as opposed to you having the first sort of 10% being your full volume. So that impedance matching circuit is in a lot of our products. Where we started was all with commentary, so this is our flagship commentary box now, and this one, if you look here, you can see these are e-ink screens, so these actually can update, and in the bright sunshine we've had here all day, this is as clear as it can be, so can be used pitch side or sort of ring side or wherever it is. On top of that, you've got Dante in there, you've got analog channels on the back as well for 3 commentators. As good a quality mic inputs that you can possibly get with a referee compressor, so regardless of whether they're talking at this level or screaming, it won't clip, it just rolls off on the top. So all our commentary boxes follow the same lines, but this has an awful lot of features in there with a mixer and the e-ink screens. Coming down, we've got a fairly new product to us, which is our mobile phone. So this is a broadcast mobile phone. So the idea with this is you can plug in a professional headset, put your SIM card in the front, and then just dial your number. So instead of having to use your mobile phone, you can use a proper headset, so you'll get better quality at both ends. It's also HD voice as well, so you've got the 7K audio, so if you're on the same network as the receiving end, it is broadcastable, so you've got that. Along with that, we've got it plugged in with DC power here, but you've got USB-C and good old classic AA batteries on the side, which can be available anywhere around the world, as opposed to lithium-ion, which may not necessarily. Lots of interfaces, I/O boxes, so this is a 2-channel mic into Dante, with gain control, belt packs for intercom. We do a little light flasher, so that gives you a visual representation, so if certain channels are on, this will change colour. Simple podium mic, so it can be used at a reception point or backstage if you want to make calls out, and you've got again 4 Dante channels to be able to call.
Can I just ask, is this one of these Mr. Putin's office, and the other one?
That is exactly what it is. This is just for nuclear strikes. No, this is just a 2-channel interface, but obviously everybody understands how to use a phone, whereas it's surprising how many people don't understand how to use a microphone. So actually giving somebody a telephone to pick up and use, it does work. So again, something like that hanging on the side of the stage to make it cool.
And of course, with an older generation, you have to really think about that when you're designing it. So it's not just in terms of as an interface. You have to think logically. Look, you've got a certain, I've done a lot of work with councils and with judges and things like that. So when you're using technology, you have to be, really thinking about how they use technology.
Absolutely.
And adapt it to their use. So.
It's easy because, again, when you're in the industry and you understand how all these things work, it's very difficult to see it from that sort of other point of view. But yeah, when you do start digging down, there is even the simple thing of holding a microphone at a reasonable distance from your face. It's sometimes a difficult concept for people to grasp. Coming right down here, so they originally started off with the GTM. We're back at the GTM again, and this is the same box but with no controls whatsoever. So one of our integrators in the US use this one for their esports tournaments. So that stops the players being able to do any changes of settings, but still gives you the same quality. This is called our Systems Integrator GTM. Okay. So that will go under a desk. And as far as the player's concerned, they're just getting a headphone output and a microphone connection. But we've got about this is about a quarter of our current lineup, so we've got a lot more to go through. So if you need any further info, we can go through the website, but we're here.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Lovely.
Take care.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.
Brilliant.
AVoIPoE Roadshow, we're here with Frank from MakerPro X. Is it MakerPro X or MakePro X?
It's MakerPro X.
MakerPro X. So Frank, we met at Frankfurt, and you introduced me to the future of mixers, really. And this is a really good tactile interface that could be as a modular system, and it could be used for anything, whether it's lighting, whether it's audio, whether it's video. Tell me a bit more about what we're doing. I know we've got a bit of an older version here, and you've improved it since then. But tell me about the bare bones of what we've got going on here.
Right. So what we see here is one configuration which you can build, which we can build for you out of modules. So it is a custom interface, if you like. Actually, it's one of the standardized layouts we're having today. This unit is 2 years old. It's still absolutely current. It is the current system. This was the initial sets of modules we started with. Today we have more modules. There are more options. We have touchscreens you can embed into your device, so it's touch and tactile. Basically, it's a generic controller, just like you said. You can use it for so many things. It is a generic hardware interface plus a software behind, which lets you, audio specialists, which lets you control your set of targets in your network, right?
And in our workflow here, we're using it in a couple of applications. Obviously for the live stream application here, and then also we're using it as a USB. We've done a USB extension over there, and we're also able to utilize the switching over here. And so I'm able to kind of switch between the different sources over here.
That's right. So you've been setting up 2 controllers and they are connected, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. Which is an easy exercise, which is what you found like very intuitively.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't have any instructions and stuff. We just kind of got.
I'm impressed. You received 2 units, no instructions, no documentation. You found your way. You downloaded this stuff, and you got it to work. So very impressive.
And for us, for our workflow, what we think that this is going to be really interesting in things like remote, where we're being able to work with larger teams that are kind of working remotely, you know, in so many, and you know, like you said, the customization aspect. So I can be, if I'm let's say I'm an AV guy, one day I might be doing a houses of worship thing, another day I might be doing a lecture theatre, another day I'm doing something else in a studio somewhere. I can take these modules, I can pre-configure those modules, and I can go out on site knowing what I've got, and it's just used, and I can then have them for any application I want. I can have a customized layout.
That's right. You can basically recombine your components in a very, very quick and agile way every day. You're not buying one rigid kind of a thing which does one thing and you have 10 of them and you take one. No. You may have 2-3 multidiscipline units, and on a small gig you take 1, maybe 2. On a big gig you take a few more, and it scales. So yeah, it's a different way to approach.
So I can see, like, if you're a system integrator or even a rental firm, that you set on a system, you're like, okay, this is going to be my system moving forward, and then you can just make these almost like custom layouts for yourself and going, right, this is going out on the road. And then you've got that consistency going around with the same system that you're going to roll out.
That's right. And it's all about workflow. And the biggest achievement for event people many times is to become free on their choice of equipment on the back end. So you can use this brand of a mixer, you can use another brand of a mixer, you could use a rack core, you could use a cloud mixer if you like. So you're completely free in your backbone kind of a thing, whereas you can standardize the front end, and that's important because your operators, you cannot train them on like 10 different products, right? Very difficult. But if they are trained on one workflow, on a kind of universal operator station, and the system translates it into whatever engine you choose to use for that day, then you have a very simplified operation. And this is important these days, whereas we have fewer staff in our industry. Right? We lost a lot of staff during COVID, and people need to be multidisciplined, and it's like their heads are ringing right today. And so we specialize in making things simple, simplifying things, being focused, and providing a uniform interface.
And the other aspect that I really liked about the philosophy of your company is the way that you've approached the software development side, and how you've kind of taken that notion of open source, open kind of software, and getting a community of people to help you develop that software and give you that feedback. To me, that speaks of a company that listens, that's willing to implement suggestions directly from the field. That's a brave move, actually. How have you found that working for yourself?
It's an obvious move, right? So Glue itself is not open source. we are behind Glue. It's a professional development in open source. You cannot always guarantee success. Yeah. But we had to build Glue in a very thorough and professional manner, and now we are opening it up. So specifically, we're giving room for everyone to fill all the gaps, because we cannot go into every single application on this planet. There's no way. The only way to achieve this is to work with the community, to work with those specialists for the applications who understand the problem and who can also, close that gap through the way of configuration, through the way of sometimes it's just data entry, or through the way of coding. Whereas we have like an open coding environment, it's very simple to code and to script within Glue. And we're making this fully open, and it's the only sensible move you can do, because else it would be a closed thing.
And what's the roadmap then for MakerPro X? Like, where are you going to next?
We have a number of segments which are responding very strongly to the things we do. It is mostly the system we do hasn't been around so far, so we need people who actually know the problems we are solving. But it is not mainstream time yet, whereas everyone runs out and says I need such a thing, and people are not even aware of this. Many people. So we are working in professional markets, and we are responding to people with relevant use cases. So we have great response from professional broadcasters. They need to be more agile. They need to scale more easily. They need to simplify their front ends. They all want to move to IP. And there are broadcasters just starting to consider, and there are broadcasters who are almost there yet. So there's a whole spectrum of broadcasters moving towards IP, but they all go the same direction. It's the only sensible direction. If you plan new things today, you go IP, right? You go software, exactly. Right? And these broadcasters pretty much all found that's the operational side, which is good with conventional products as we know it, right? There is a video gear, it has its interface, people can operate it. There is an audio mixer which has its interface, people can operate it. But the moment these physical things disappear and they become software in the cloud, that's right. What are you touching? How do I operate this? Please give me my old stuff back. And we are basically filling that need, because it's about workflows, hardware, tactile, and touch workflows for IP systems.
And of course, when they do manufacture, what you end up doing, for example, is then have one controller for your audio, another controller for the video, and another controller for your lighting, and you end up with this mishmash of all these different controllers that you're trying to use, and all you're doing is it's a tactile surface, and your solution is the best and only solution on the market to combine all of those things and provide a unified workflow.
It's the only fully modular one, and it is one which is scalable into all these applications under one simplified software roof, so to say. Because if you're using 4, 5, 6 different controllers today from different vendors, they all speak different protocols. Yeah. So just putting them on the table doesn't solve a problem, it creates problems first. So you have to understand how to make ends meet. How do you tie this together? Yeah. And our system has this tie, it's called Glue, and it takes in all kinds of controllers and it serves all these applications. So for you are basically straight away going to exactly the workflow and the interface you like to have. You don't have to mix and match and how does that work? But basically with us, you make up your minds, how many, do I need faders, do I need buttons, do I need touch, what do I need? You bring it into an ergonomic shape and you're done. And that's it. And you assign functionality and you have your perfect thing. And we're getting great response from broadcasters, also from events people, because broadcasters do events, event people do broadcasting. It's a spectrum again, right? So this is where the strongest response is, which we get.
Well, I hope that we can play a small part in helping to get more awareness around the solutions.
Thanks, Tom.
I really believe in your product, and I hope to be working with you some more.
have got the LiveU LU300, and we're going to go on a little walk and let's see what it's all about. So let me zip this bag up here. We've got, the unit is on, it is going out to LiveU Central, it then goes to Restream, and we're bringing a picture back down into vMix. So, not so elegantly, I'm going to put the backpack on, and let's go for a little wander. So, pop off frame. I've got a camera. If you don't mind doing me a favour, can you record on this LiveU thing here? So that's recorded as well. So let's go for a little walk and let's see what we can get. Okay, so let's just go for a quick walk with the LiveU then, and let's see how far it goes. So currently, you can see we're here at the KitPlus show. We've got the rest of the show going around us, but let's take a quick walk outside and see what's going on. So let's explore Media City for a minute and go from there. So as you can see, we've got a food truck. I think that's just shut up at the moment. They were doing cheese-based items. A large screen there. We've got BBC at the top there. ITV is just tucked a little bit round there. And I've left this recording on vMix at the moment, and I'm trusting we've got a good feed coming through. So as you can see, I've literally just got the LiveU backpack on, and that's got the LU300 encoder that basically sends this feed, as I was saying a minute ago, all the way up to LiveU Central. We then take that RTMP over to Restream, and then we're just using a pool link to bring it back down to vMix, which is where we've got this being recorded. So as you can see, it's a lovely day here actually at Media City. We've got some people enjoying the river. We've got a boat there. Let me just flip my screen. So we've got a boat there. Lovely sort of view here going on, some other filming taking place. And I think that's a good sort of range test and showcase. So let's go back and check out the rest of the show.
Roadshow. I'm here with Cyrus Yazdanian from SY Electronics. Cyrus, welcome to KitPlus AVoIPoE. This is another event that you've supported us on. We're using a number of your kit here. I wanted to go through particularly about the USB. We've got the USB 50 here. We've got receivers and transmitters. What was the thinking about USB? What was the demand like for you to choose that kind of a product?
Well, it's an extremely useful product. It can basically have keyboard, mouse, or camera, or audio, any device really, you know. So being of that sort of impetus, it's got a wide range of applications. We've got, at the moment, you're using USB 50, which is a 50-meter device. Distances aren't far, so 50 meters more than enough, right? But we've got USB 100, which does a 100-meter device, and that is better for longer range requirements.
And we're seeing a lot more of that integration in different kind of workflows. Traditionally, it's always been that's for Pro AV, that might be for broadcast, that might be for live events. But I'm seeing a lot more kind of mix and match. People are going and utilizing some of these technologies with products like yours, and they're using it in these different applications, different verticals.
No, you're absolutely right here. Basically, a lot of applications are no longer dedicated to AV only, or it's just across the board, right? Wherever you've got a display, wherever you've got a USB, etc., our devices can be used, right? So it doesn't matter. It's no longer just purely AV or digital signage, etc., etc. As I said, the USB versions, and we are getting a lot more of diverse range of products like that. They are not meant only for IT, right? But they're meant for AV as well, right? and vice versa. Things which were only for AV are now utilizing IT as well, right? And more diverse range of products within the industry. In particular, if I may say, for example, we're having video over IP, right? Now, that in itself requires a lot of IT now, right? And so it's a different mentality to the ordinary AV that we used to talk about, right? So understanding IT makes a big difference in ease of installation, etc. But that's the way everything is moving, and we've got some IT products in that manner.
And that leads nicely onto the announcement of the Dante, adoption that you're going to do with Ordinate and some of those new products that you're looking at. Is there anything that you can give us, any juicy bits of information?
Indeed, yeah. We've got some Dante audio and video, right? Video part that speaks for itself, 4K system over 1 gig, brilliant, really what you call it, it hits the sweet spot on so many grounds. And Dante, what you call it, amplifiers, as well as input-output devices, right? So the whole range of things coming out, as we're going along, you'll see more and more on a monthly basis that we'll be announcing.
That's brilliant. One of the other applications here that we've shown, I know it's a proprietary product, but actually it's an application that we needed here. And so what we did is we used one of your Excalibur extenders, and we're using it for the gaming rig over here, taking an HDMI feed from there and bringing it into the production.
Brilliant.
And that's something that, obviously it's not necessarily IP in a way. Maybe I could have done that through an IP thing, but this is an application that we required right today. You guys happen to be in Manchester, just down the road, and you're able to solve my problem. And this is exactly what we're talking about, having that, full range of products and full versatility in your range to provide solutions for people.
Absolutely. Like most of our devices, question is that the devices are plug and play, right? It's simple. You don't have to set it up that much, etc. So you can get the basic things out of the way very, very quick. If you want something very specific, of course, you can go that much more into it, right? So something like Excalibur 11 is heaven sent, right? And compared to, let's say, potentially IP solutions of the same, it's fraction of the cost, right? So you are getting 4K, right? 4K 6444, right up to 120 meters, right?
And it's really simple. We don't have to look, and you don't have to get the IP addresses or anything else.
You plug it, off it goes, right? It handles all your EDIT, HPD, HDCP, etc., right? So whatever your video is coming out, it just basically replicates it at the other end, right? In a bi-directional manner, right? So HDCP management is one of the things that we really emphasize on, right? But not only that, it's got test pattern generator, right? So that again simplifies the installation. If you're not sure, the system isn't working, why, right? Helps you to debug the situation, right? And the actual test pattern, it can be from 720p right up to 4K 6444, right? So nice, easy, to the point. You've got EDIT management on it. Again, most such devices don't have EDIT management, right? This does. They don't have test pattern generation. This does, etc., etc. It's got many benefits.
And that's something, as a company, you've been known for a long time. Two things that always sticks into my mind is the reliability and the full of features, the functionality that you can fit into. And that speaks to, obviously, your engineering prowess yourself, how you design these solutions in so that they're full of features, but yet there's some, in such a small kind of, casing, the majority of them. They're always slimline, you're always able to think about how you're going to dissipate the heat. And this is something that's quite unique about SY as well.
It is. We've pioneered a lot of things. For example, the slimness has been a feature which has been desired, right? But not dared by anyone, right? And we managed to put a lot of engineering effort in order to establish that and bring it to life, right? So most of our products, you're right, they're very slim, etc., but for good reasoning. Part of it is heat management, right? And part of it is that, the smaller it is, the easier it is for these sort of devices to be hidden, right? And most of our products, in fact, are not seen, right? They're small enough and are compact enough to be out of sight, out of mind, right? What you see is, of course, the display, right? So, yes, we have traditionally, we always did, have done, and we will always bring products which have got a lot of features, right? So on the face of it, yes, another black box, and it does extension, let's say, right? But no, it does a lot more than that, right? So it's an extender, but with perhaps an engineer built into it.
Yeah, this is like you got full diagnostics.
Full diagnostics, absolutely.
So, brilliant. Cyrus, thank you so much for
Thank
supporting us, and I
Not
look
at
forward
all.
to seeing more
Yeah.
from us. Well.
Have a great show.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This is the Roadshow at Media City at KitPlus. I'm here with Jack. Jack, you're from Altium. Tell me a bit more. I know about the software and the development of the PCB side of things. Guide me through a bit more on how important it is in terms of the role the software plays in product development.
Well, as you mentioned, Altium was traditionally a PCB design tool. That's what it started doing back in the 90s. Since then, it's evolved into more of an electronic product design tool. So not just for PCBs, but we have multi-board design, which enables you to design your PCBs and then put them together into a multi-board project. And we have a new wiring harness design tool, which allows you to create the logical connections between the PCBs, but also to create the physical wiring harness designs to support those logical connections. And then we also have, we recently bought a company called Octopart, which is a search engine for electronic components with a lot of intelligence built into it. So when you get your bill of materials, you can look at the live pricing for the components. You can look at not just their current availability, but their historical availability. So you can estimate the impact of any sort of risk to component supply problems on your design, on your product. We also have something called MCAD Co-Designer, which links our flagship desktop PCB design tool with Altium Designer with mechanical CAD packages. So you can start to design your PCB in Altium Designer. You can synchronize it to your mechanical colleagues' CAD tool, and then they can change the shape of the board to fit inside the enclosure. They can place mechanical parts, so you might have a specific connector that needs to go on that board in a specific place to line up with a hole in the enclosure, for example. They can place that part, and then those changes can be synchronized back to Altium Designer, and the part placed by the mechanical engineer will be replaced by the equivalent the electronic component with a full PCB footprint from the Altium Designer library.
So you've really thought about the entire workflow, really, haven't you?
Yeah, it's
and
really...
through those acquisitions, you've actually, added more value to your customers.
Exactly, yeah, and we've broadened our offerings to the customers from just a specific PCB design tool to a whole sort of design ecosystem. We have the Altium 365 cloud platform, which links into manufacturers. So the manufacturing data that you associated with your project, that can be accessed by manufacturers. Your colleagues can work together. You can have different people in the company or from other companies working collaboratively on the cloud platform, and then obviously all the supply chain component supply chain data is built into that as well. So yeah, we're really now appealing not just to a PCB design engineer, but a whole product design engineer.
So that means that your kind of customer base is really wide, from OEMs, ODMs, vendors, everyone in between that, through that entire chain.
Yeah.
And then now with that collaboration tool that you've got there, everyone can work together. And a lot of the times I see the design parts of it happening in the West.
Yeah.
So for example, off the top of my head, Alan the Heath might design a product in the south of England, but then they manufacture in the Far East. But they can be working with their manufacturing team out there, live on these designs.
Yeah, exactly, and that sort of segmentation of not segmentation, but like siloing of the different parts of the industry have caused real problems historically, because you have communication problems, you have production data centers, email attachments. Those attachments get lost. Someone else opens the wrong email, doesn't see the most recent email. All those problems that you have with like file-based data transfers and working together, we're eliminating all that with like a sort of cohesive cloud platform ecosystem that allows all that collaboration without having to deal with like manual file transfers and all that sort of thing.
Well, that's really interesting, and I hope that what we can do is shed some light on it through AVoIPoE. We work with a lot of different vendors. We also work and reach out to a lot of original exporting manufacturers. So we work with a lot of these different people. So I hope people can get on there. Where can they find more information about Altium?
Altium.com.
Lovely, thanks a lot.
It should be easy to remember.
Oh wow, what a show again. KitPlus, Media City, Manchester. We've gone back to the pub now.
I think a well-earned pint is in order. It's been a long but a great day here at Media City at the KitPlus show. Lots of interest in the stands, lots of content. And what's been your sort of highlights from the show today, Sia?
Being at the Rovers' return, obviously.
The problem we do have, though, is because it's Media City, I have this sneaking suspicion these aren't actually connected and they might be just for show.
Oh, yeah, it could be. But try to get some hook stretches from behind them.
I think they're just for show as well.
Well, once you came to the show, you saw the real thing. At least we were able to demonstrate the real thing and demonstrate the real thing working. We were demonstrating the e-gaming rig, the commentary for the e-gaming, the AVoIPoE workflow that we showed for the live production. So many all of the different vendors working together on this one. This was particularly good to be able to speak to a lot of the different technology professionals that were involved in here. And I think what they took away, I got the feeling that what they took away was, yeah, IP is coming with something that we recognize we need to kind of put this into our workflow. But the angle of PoE seemed to be quite unique today.
Definitely, and I say a majority of the equipment we've actually had running today is PoE powered. I say even Thinlabs Nook, you've got a full PC running 4 monitors, that's all PoE powered as well. I say that still blows my mind, but it shows the power of PoE is there, and there's just further innovation to come of how this technology can be utilised.
Well, join us again. We're here next month. We're going to Germany, Berlin, covering the Sample Music Festival. That's going to be really exciting because we're showing the workflow from a live events, hospitality, and performance kind of workflows over there. That's going to be interesting as well, isn't it, Ryan?
Definitely. So say we're partnering up with a company out there to do a lot of live stream stage presentations, of course exploring the show, introducing AVoIPoE to the people of Germany, and yeah, that should be a good event, and that's soon coming up upon us. So,
and if you're into DJing, if you're into scratch DJing in particular, we've got that DMC event, we've got the Finger Drumming World Championship, we've also got the modular synths as well. So we're able to capture both the performances as well, demonstrating live streaming, and also get that sort of workflow from the perspective of that hospitality, the venue, the club, to kind of demonstrate the value of incorporating video into what they're doing.
So is it fair to say, to get all of the updates of what's going to be coming up for Berlin and the rest of this year's events, everyone goes to LinkedIn and follows Broadtek?
That's exactly right. LinkedIn, Broadtek, myself, yourself, everyone else's self. Come down, AVoIPoE Roadshow. See you next month.
Perfect. Let's go find a pub that works.
When there's a groove like that, everybody feels good.
This is like quick and dark.
You know Darren's going to stitch it up in the edit now, and he's just going to leave us running.